Sort of like George W.'s father helping out the Nazis in the Second World War, tried for treason after the Second World War, but was pardoned. Well, just was the case of Albert Pike. Heath Ledger plays the Joker in Batman, The Dark Knight, released worldwide in theaters this weekend. He was a ritual sacrifice, January 22nd, just this year, a few months ago. The same exact day, January 22nd, the day that Edward VII, the very first monarch from the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha family, became the King of England, January 22nd. He befriended Guisseppe Messini. Albert Pike wrote a letter to Guisseppe Messini, dated August 15th, 1871. Some say the date is incorrect, but they don't say he didn't write the letter. It was based on a vision revealed to him by, guess who? Satan. Albert Pike wrote a blueprint of events that would play themselves out in the 20th century, with even more of these events yet to come. It is this blueprint which I believe the unseen leaders, the Illuminati, are following today to engineer the planned third and final World War, which is designed to make the entire world's population complicit to accept the Antichrist as their leader for the entire world, who will be a descendant of the Merovingian bloodline and portrayed as the savior to the world, but in fact, as I said, will be the Antichrist. A man possessed by Satan himself. Here's the letter Albert Pike wrote Guisseppe Messini. The First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the czars in Russia, and of making that country a fortress of atheistic communism. The divergence caused by the agentur, the agents of the Illuminati, between the British and Germanic empires will be used to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. The Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed, and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. During the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christianity, which would be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for the final cataclysm. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the State of Israel, and its friends, mutually destroy each other. Meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all its savagery and horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism. Then everywhere, the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate themselves, and those destroyers of the civilization and multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, brought finally out in public view. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. A letter, a plan, written by Albert Pike, 33rd degree Freemason, to Guisseppe Messini, August 15, 1871. As you can see, the plan: First World War, Second World War, and we're just now beginning our third. And there's a fight for your mind right now on what's right and what's wrong, and is the war in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, is it legal? You gotta wonder how President Clinton survived all his scandals that kept major colleges throughout the world. Now, take a look at former President Clinton, and George W. Bush for that matter. Over 90 people died to keep Clinton in office. I suspect even more to forward this evil plan, while George W. pushes America to the edge of destruction. Clinton survived Whitewater. He survived the death of Ron Brown. He survived the FBI files. He survived China technology conspiracy. He survived rape. He survived having a baby out of wedlock. He survived Monica Lewinsky. How did he survive and maintain a popularity with the public? Through the controlled news media, of course. Brainwashing. Spin on every negative story, making him look good, as well as an economy that just would not quit. Making everyone rich. Who cares how stupid or immoral the leader is? We're all making money. So who really controls America? Who really controls America's thinking? The news media. The government. The Illuminati do. It's the same with George W. Now there's a story out which gets absolutely no expose to the public. And that's Bugliossi's new book. I'm not talking about the attempted assassination of George W. in the Middle East. How bogus is that? Supposedly, if Al-Qaeda can knock down 2 great big buildings in New York City, they can't bump off a president who flies over to the Middle East. You can't have both sides. They're either really smart or they don't exist. I say they don't exist. I say they're the shadow enemy. So you've heard about this Bugliossi book, I'm sure. Or if you haven't, he is the guy who was the prosecutor in the Charles Manson trial. He's written books about it, and now he's written a book about another murderer, or person that should be charged with murder, and he argues that George W. Bush, the U.S. president, should be charged with murder in his new book. He thought, well, I'm going to get a lot of airtime on NBC, CBS, CNN, and the like, but nope, they blackballed him. He can't get anywhere with anyone. They have totally shut him out. They've been told not to put this man on the air with his book plug. As a matter of fact, he even took money to ABC and asked ABC to buy time to sell his book. They wouldn't accept the money. So you see what I mean by an Illuminati-controlled mass media.